If you've ever felt dismissed, confused, or stuck in the space between symptoms and answers, you're not alone. This is What's My Body Telling Me? With me, Dr. Anthea Todd, the podcast where we believe your body isn't the problem, it's the solution. Together, we'll explore how to understand the messages your body sends through symptoms, how to support yourself through every stage of life, and why functional health, medicine, and energetics are all key to understanding and supporting your body. Here, we let feeling good become the baseline because life's too short to feel anything but alive. So, are you ready to start listening differently? Let's get into today's episode. What's your body telling you when you get menstrual migraines? Today's episode, I thought I would follow up and talk a little bit more about the reel that I posted on Instagram a couple of weeks ago. And a lot of people responded being like, yeah, I get migraines in the week leading up to, or the first couple of days before my period comes and in the first couple of days of my period, or I might notice them pre-ovulation. So what is happening when we're experiencing these? Because yes, they're annoying, but they are our body's way of trying to tell us something. And when we start to listen deeper, that's when we can understand what our body is calling for, what it actually really needs underneath the surface. So if we pay attention to these times in our cycle, so just before our period and the first couple of days of our period and just before ovulation. Now, what is happening at these points of our cycle is that our estrogen is lowest or it's taking a dip, particularly before that pre-ovulatory phase. So then we have to think, oh, okay, well, our estrogen is dipping. And it's really interesting to link this with particularly perimenopausal or menopausal women often notice that they get menstrual cycle related migraines. So this can be linked to estrogen levels. So then we have to think, okay, well, how do my estrogen levels being low create this change? And it's about looking at, okay, well, why are my estrogen levels low? How do I even create estrogen in my body? Well, in perimenopause and menopause, what's happening is our follicle pool, our follicles in our ovaries are decreasing because they decrease over time as we age as women. That's why we go through menopause. And how we form estrogen, particularly its most potent form, is within our ovaries and those follicles. So in the first half of our cycle, from day 3 to just before ovulation, our estrogen levels increase. They're the highest they will be in the cycle. When our estrogen levels increase, that also means that our inflammation can typically go down in our body because our follicles are getting what they need to produce that estrogen. And then when it dips, our ability to have inflammation in our body increases. So inflammation can increase. And that can go towards the migrainous type symptoms that happen within our blood vessels. So this happens with everyone though. Every single woman's menstrual cycle goes through ebbs and flows. It naturally increases in estrogen from around day 3 to just before ovulation. So why is it that some women at the dip pre-ovulation or the dip around their menstrual cycle experience symptoms? This is where it can be a hidden sign that you have iron deficiency. Now, how does this play a role with estrogen? Well, iron is an important factor in our ovaries feeling healthy and those follicles getting the nutrients they need to create the reactions in order for them to create their role, which is creating estrogen in our body. So this is where estrogen is a top level symptom. And the fact that it's coming with a rhythmical cycle goes, oh, okay, we can see that your body is struggling with that estrogen production or estrogen clearance. How can we support that? Often, if it's tied with iron deficiency, you will also notice other symptoms. So if you are also noticing that you have more paler skin, you're also noticing that you have brittle hair or brittle nails, that you feel fatigued, that you get breathless. These are also signs from your body in conjunction with the migraines, with your menstrual cycle. It's in conjunction going, maybe I actually have low iron. Now, if you're listening to this going, oh my gosh, yes, I have all those symptoms, what does that mean? Do I just need to take more iron? Or, oh my gosh, yeah, I thought I had that, but I went to the doctor and my blood test said that everything was fine and normal. This is where we have to understand a couple of things. The difference, or what our blood test is showing us, and also other tests that can show us different things within the body. And also that iron doesn't work by itself. There's multiple factors that go into that. And the easiest way to think about this is always going back to our 4 fundamentals. When our body is given the 4 fundamentals, our cells have what they need to work. So if we look at this iron deficiency and our 4 fundamentals, we can think, okay, nutrient fundamental. I just need to take more iron. But our nutrient fundamental is to do with, well, am I getting enough? So do I need to take more? Am I taking an iron supplement, increasing my iron-rich foods, having an infusion? But also, can I actually absorb that iron? So having an infusion doesn't matter what's happening with the gut, it goes straight into the bloodstream, which can be helpful, particularly if we have an absorption issue. But it's not actually looking at, okay, well, can I utilize it? Because there's other minerals that our body needs, or other nutrients that our body needs, in order to help our iron work better. And there are so many women that I see, they're like, yeah, I take iron supplements, or I had an infusion, but I didn't feel any better. I still felt fatigued. I still felt breathless. So it wasn't actually that you were deficient in the iron. It was that you needed better support of the other minerals that are happening. Now, I have a list here of the different minerals and how they can help with your iron. So something like copper. Copper actually helps when you have excess iron. It reduces what's called ceruloplasmin activity, which is an enzyme, which actually impairs your copper from working well. And when we have a proper copper and cadmium, or when we have copper and cadmium, that also might inhibit our absorption of iron. So what does that all mean? Well, if we have excess copper, it can actually make it harder for our body to absorb iron. And it also reduces our body's ability to utilize the iron. What about zinc? Well, zinc actually in high levels competes with iron's absorption. And iron overload can reduce our zinc. So everything is connected. Magnesium, if we're deficient in magnesium, that actually makes our iron deficiency worse, because we need adequate magnesium to support how we actually create a balance of iron in our body. So no mineral works in isolation. If you have a deficiency in iron, it doesn't just mean you need more iron in your diet. It means we need to look at the whole picture. That means, okay, yes, am I actually getting enough in my diet? If you look at your diet and go, oh, okay, I probably don't have that much iron-rich foods, you can increase it. But also, can I absorb it? And the absorption comes down to, well, is my gut inflamed? What's happening with my blood sugar fundamental? If my blood sugars are all over the place, that can actually secrete something called hepcidin. And hepcidin blocks our body's ability to absorb iron. If we're stressed, what happens? Our gut absorption goes down, because our stress response is fight, flight, baby. It's not to do with rest, digest, repair. So that can affect our absorption. What happens when we don't have the other proper minerals and nutrients to help utilize that? And then we might look at, okay, well, maybe my excretion of that mineral is more. Maybe my menstrual cycles are heavy, or possibly in rare cases, maybe I'm bleeding internally. So this is where it's always important to go, well, yes, I am experiencing these symptoms. I need to go to the doctor and be investigated for this. Or my ferritin is quite low and I do have anemia. My red blood cells are changing shape, they're changing number, they're changing how much actual oxygen and iron and hemoglobin is in there. So, and I might have signs of infection, I might have liver problems that are showing up. So we do need to be investigated via blood tests, because they will tell us if there's something significantly going on. And sometimes we might need to be investigated with colonoscopies, gastroscopies, to see if there's any ulcers or inflammation in our gut or sources of bleeding. Once you've done that and there's no issues with anything medically, that is where we need to address the 4 fundamentals. Not just taking more iron, but it's looking at all 4 of them. So that's looking at the nutrient fundamental. You know your body better than anyone. So why do your test results say everything's normal when you don't feel normal? Fatigue, bloating, period pain, mood swings, anxiety, these aren't random. Your body isn't broken, and these symptoms aren't just something you have to live with. They're signals that something deeper is going on. That's where Test Your Fundamentals comes in. Using a hair tissue mineral analysis, or HTMA, this test gives you a 3-month report card of how your body's been functioning, internally and externally. It shows you exactly what's happening beneath the surface, so you can stop guessing and start listening to your body in a different way. Unlike standard blood tests, HTMA reveals nutrient imbalances, heavy metal exposure, and deficiencies that could be impacting your energy, hormones, metabolism, and mental clarity. It doesn't just tell you what's happening, it tells you why. With Test Your Fundamentals, you'll get a personalized HTMA test, an easy to understand breakdown of your results, access to practitioner quality supplements tailored to your body's needs, and lifestyle recommendations to support all 4 of your fundamentals, so you can take action that actually makes a difference. If you've been told that everything looks fine, but you know something isn't right, it's time to dig deeper. Visit femalefundamentals.com.au to order your Test Your Fundamentals hair test today. There's also a link in the show notes. It's not what's wrong with me, it's what's my body trying to tell me. Now, if you look at the blood sugar fundamental, which I alluded to before, when our blood sugars are erratic, that causes inflammation in our body. And when they're also erratic, it can trigger our nervous system. We know this when we have high amounts of sugar. If you give a toddler sugar, what is going to happen with their nervous system? They're not going to be chill and calm. They're going to be erratic and all over the shop, and then they'll crash and burn. That's the same thing as what happens with us. We just notice it sometimes more subtly. So when we actually care for our blood sugars and have them stable across the day, that helps with our absorption of iron. It helps decrease inflammation. It also helps with our estrogen levels and our body's ability to build estrogen in our body and also clear it as well. The other fundamental is our metabolism. And a metabolism is all about how well our cells can generate energy. So the cells in our ovaries are the things that produce estrogen. Okay, do our cells have what they need to be able to do that? Well, they need iron, copper, zinc, manganese, proper nourishment. They need that to be able to get enough blood supply, nutrient supply, for then our metabolism, our cells, to convert that energy into some form of byproduct in our body. And in this case, it's creating estrogen. Because when we create estrogen, it's helping our body have those natural ebbs and flows across the cycle. We have enough iron, so then we actually are building those egg follicles and it's breaking down, building that endometrial lining, and then it's breaking down so then we can feel all the really positive impacts of estrogen. So our metabolism, how we care for that one, is actually through aligning our body with the sun. And this actually ties into our estrogen levels and our body's ability to absorb iron as well. So when we wake up with the sunrise, go to bed soon after the sun sets, and also pair our eating with, we eat when the sun is up, we try and avoid eating when the sun is down as much as we can, that actually helps set the rhythm of our menstrual cycle. So if you are noticing menstrual migraines, and you're also noticing other changes with your menstrual cycle, whether it's you get PMS, whether you get bloating, whether you get pain, whether you're noticing some irregularities or heaviness or lightness, we need to also look at what's happening with our main regulatory or rhythm setter, which is the sun. So how do we do this? Well, when you wake up, first thing in or on your body is sunlight. Having that and then eating with the sun in the middle of the day, getting out and being in bright sunlight as much as you can. Even if it's overcast, getting outside and being in sunshine is really helpful for your body creating vitamin D, which is a natural anti-inflammatory. It also helps regulate your immune system. It also helps reduce inflammation, which helps with iron absorption. It also helps reduce inflammation in your blood vessels, which can lead to migraines. See how all of this is linking in together? So aligning your body with the rhythm of the sun also helps your eyes detect that sunlight is coming in. So then your brain goes, oh, hey, it's daylight. That part of your brain that recognizes that is called the SCN, or suprachiasmatic nucleus. And that part of your brain also is the master controller for what? Your Hormones. So it's the master controller that tells your brain to tell your ovaries, hey, it's time to produce estrogen. Or, hey, it's time to release that egg that you've now developed from a follicle into one that can be ovulated. And now it tells your body to release the ovulatory hormones. So everything is set in a rhythm. So aligning that metabolism to that will then help your absorption of iron because your gut is online and rhythm with nature. It also helps align your body and help your body secrete estrogen in the relative quantities it needs at different points in your cycle. The fourth fundamental is your nervous system. And our nervous system, as I alluded to before, it has two main components. It has fight, flight, rest, digest, repair. There's multiple different aspects of our nervous system, but our nervous system actually sits above our hormonal system or endocrine system. So when we can shift into a rest, digest, repair state more often, we have that adaptability and flexibility. When it's go time and we need to fight, flight, absolutely that is incredible. But if we are in that all the time, what can happen is our gut becomes inflamed. We can't absorb things as well. So even though you are taking the iron supplement or you are increasing iron-rich foods in your diet, it's hard for your body to utilize. And also, when we're stressed, our other minerals change as well because it's trying to adapt and keep us safe and alive in that state, which is great in an acute setting, but not chronically. So when our nervous system is in that state, our absorption of iron goes down. Also, our progesterone levels go down, so estrogen levels can go a little bit haywire as well. And our body, on a basic level, wants to survive. It doesn't want to reproduce. So our hormones can go skew-if. So this is where it's not about understanding necessarily the nitty-gritty, even though I gave you more explanation of what's happening. It's really about going back to, okay, my body is giving me this symptom of menstrual cycle migraines. When you are noticing it, pay attention to when in your cycle you're getting it. If you're getting it the first couple of days before your first day of bleed and the first couple of days of your bleed, that is when estrogen is at its lowest. If you're noticing it also just pre-ovulation, also when estrogen dips. Okay, we notice that there's a rhythm. Great. Now we need to look at, okay, well, there's a hormonal balance, but what actually controls my hormones? Well, my hormones are largely created in my reproductive years from my ovaries, but they also get created from my adrenal glands, from my fatty tissue, from my brain. So I need to make sure that I'm caring for all of them. Oh my goodness, like what am I meant to do? What's happening? This can be so confusing and overwhelming. It's not when we just think about your four fundamentals. Come back to your four fundamentals. And if you're unsure how to care for them or what's going on with them, and you think, oh, you know what? Like, no, I don't think I am stressed. And I'm talking about this from first person. I used to think that I wasn't that stressed and everything was fine and normal because I'd normalized to the level of hustle and busyness that I was putting my body through. And it wasn't until I did a hair test, and my third hair test, mind you, that I realized, oh, yeah, there is that nervous system fundamental pattern that's happening in my body. So a hair test is a great way to see objectively what is happening with each of your four fundamentals. And the difference between a hair test and a blood test is that a blood test tests extracellular fluid, meaning what is happening outside of your cells, what's being transported into the cells and what's being excreted outside of the cells to balance. So if there's something significantly going on, blood's going to pick it up, but it doesn't tell us what's inside the cells. And what's inside the cells is what the cells have to do their magic, to do their work, whether it's an ovarian cell, a liver cell, a brain cell, a pancreatic cell, a heart cell. They all need that internal magic to actually be able to perform their function. So when we can actually see what's inside the cell, we can start to understand the functional patterns, those whispers before the blood tells us that there's something going on. So this is where we can look at things like your calcium and potassium ratio. That helps us know what's happening with your thyroid, or your sodium and potassium, sodium, magnesium. It tells us what's happening with your stress levels, but also what to do about it and how it's linking in with all of your other four fundamentals. Your calcium and magnesium ratio, that tells us a lot about what's happening with your blood sugars. So there's so much information that we get on there that's going to help us understand the fundamentals, but also what's my What's the internal level of iron within my cells? And maybe I have heavy metals that are blocking that level of iron. Even though I've had these infusions, I still feel like I'm on this roundabout, this merry-go-round. I'm trying fucking everything. I'm trying to listen to my body and I just don't know what's going on. If this is you and you are noticing that there is a rhythm and a cycle to your migraines, this is often a sign estrogen is at play, iron is at play. What do we do about that though? We care for your fundamentals. So, caring for your fundamentals can be really simple and easy. It's all about fundamentals first. So, I hope that gave you a bit more insight. If you are interested in doing a hair test, they are available on our website from all around the world. It is easy. You purchase it, you send away your hair straight away, you get your results within 2 to 3 weeks anywhere around the world, and you have the availability of speaking with someone to help you understand them. But the reports are very extensive and help you understand what you can start to do now to support your unique fundamentals. Until next time, let's continue to listen to our body differently, because our body isn't the problem, it's the solution. If this episode resonated with you, take a moment to think of the woman in your life who might need this too. Maybe it's a friend who's been feeling exhausted, a sister searching for answers to chronic symptoms, or someone who just needs the reminder that feeling good in her body is her natural baseline. And if you haven't already, subscribing is the best way to spread this message and make sure you keep getting the answers and resources you need. Together, we're redefining how women connect with their bodies. And I'm so grateful to have you as part of this community. So, I invite you to get curious with me. If your body isn't the problem, it's the solution, what do you think your body's trying to tell you today? Please remember, this episode is for educational purposes only. Always consult a qualified health practitioner before making any medical decisions. Every body is different, and so is every healing journey.